Alright, so today's kind of a pretty impromptu video. I live in Ohio where we got about a foot of snow, and yesterday I kind of scrambled and put most of the pieces back on the Mini so I could use it because I used the front blade to plow most of my snow. Where this wasn't great because it's a small area, it did work. I mean, a lot better than a shovel. I just had to push it in small chunks because as you pushed a lot, it would all just roll off the edges. And then I was able to use the bucket and some to push the snow further away, but just a lot of snow and trying to get it moved around. But so I used this thing for probably about, I don't know, 3 hours yesterday. Ran over a full tank of fuel through it. But the big thing is today is I want to put this this big bucket on that we got. That bucket is, let's just see, it's a 30-inch bucket, and that came in that kit I told you about in the beginning of the series. But the other thing I've talked about was how normally on like a lot of Bobcats, when you push this lever back and forth, that does your boom. So that's this cylinder, and most of them, this forward and back does your stick, and your stick is that small front arm here. This is your stick. So this is backwards, and I talked about changing it, and yesterday when I had everything on, I should have just changed it. I didn't, and I think I'm gonna have to do that today because it was messing me up. I've ran minis, and so naturally I just trying to go through the motions, and it's like I'm trying to have to relearn the whole thing. So I'm gonna probably try to switch those back today too. So get the bucket and the quick hitch mounted. And obviously this isn't, I'm not done with this thing. I still have to go back through and remount stuff. Most of the stuff just has one bolt holding it on just to get it on. The other thing I did realize is this unit, the floor is just so slick. So we're gonna figure something out to put down on there to make it so you can actually get in and out of it without it being a total pain in the butt. So we'll just probably maybe time lapse some of this stuff, but it is a 32 millimeter on the bolts here. I'll show you. But this nut, I mean, I got this wrench out earlier just to make sure I knew what size it was, but look at that. I haven't done nothing to it. Now this one looks like it's actually tight. But this one, you about spun it off with your fingers. So these are the factory greasable ones, and we're going to put them right back where they are. I'm pretty sure if we can make them work. Because the quick coupler doesn't have greasable ends on it, and I don't really feel like trying to reinvent the wheel today. I just want to get this bucket on here so I can use it. Alright, I'm not sure where I left off, but I did get this all mounted up here in grease. I don't have any of the bolts for this, so I'm going to use the bolts that came with it. The one side already has like a thing to hold a nut or a bolt head in, so we can just tighten this up with a 25mm wrench. So just once I get all my bolts and hardware for all my buckets, I'm gonna weld the nuts into these. That way you don't need two tools every time you want to do it. You can just, the nut stays right there. You don't have to worry about where if it's gonna fall out or you're gonna lose it. Should be able to pick this bucket up. All right, as you can see right now, we need to adjust this because we can't get that bolt in there, so we'll loosen that up or tighten it up, however you want to think about it. So that's a 21mm. Okay, so this thing's made so once this bucket's on here, we'll tighten this up and then we'll run this nut all the way up, and then as you loosen this piece, it pushes the coupler down, so that way you don't need two tools. So they did think about that pretty good, it looks like. Seems pretty stout. So give it a range of motion test here, make sure everything's operating. Okay, so I did get the coupler on and the bucket on. The only thing I'll say is I'm not sure. This coupler can go either way, obviously. And the way I have it mounted, I'm not sure if it's wrong or right. I feel like I lost a little bit of range of motion curling up. I felt like before when that bucket was curled up, which that bucket is maybe a little bit deeper, it would come like up into here more. Or this one kind of doesn't really curl up as much. So I'm going to use it today, and if I notice that it is like way worse, then I mean, I don't need the bucket to get perfectly flat that way, but sometimes I might need it to curl up tighter. So we'll figure that out today after we use it, and we'll have a better idea of if it needs something done or if it doesn't. So that's the bucket install, and the quick coupler I think is going to work pretty good. Maybe, and I think I am right. I think that thing needs twisted around so this side goes on there, but because then it would be maybe a little easier to tighten that top bolt up instead of having to get it from the front. So either way, we'll figure it out as we use it. Okay, like I said, I wanted to change these. So if you get this off, get access to your valve block. That way when you move this, so the problem I'm having isn't with my left to right, because that's my swing. It's my up, back, and forth, and that's right now that's stick down. So you see it's moving this plunger here, right here, and that plunger goes into this block. So we'll take the top and bottom one off here, and then we'll do the same thing with this one here. We'll thread this in some.
Alright, so right here I'm just showing that I did go ahead and swap these valves around, and to make this do what I wanted, to have the left hand operate the boom there. I should have recorded how I'm doing it, but I was kind of in a hurry just trying to get it done. So, and then this is just the right arm. As you pull it back, that's operating the stick. So it's pretty simple, worthwhile thing to do. So that's all I got there.
Okay, I know it's probably been a while, but I'm back. Between the snow and kids getting sick and everything, it's just been hard to make any videos. So the last time I was out here, I was fitting this quick coupler, and I kind of have it so the long end's sticking up, but I really couldn't curl my bucket much. So I'm going to probably start it up, lift it up, curl the bucket all the way up, show that, and then I'm going to take the bucket off, flip that coupler around, and we'll see how that works. And then also while I'm doing all this today, I'm just going to give you an overview of what I think. I've used this unit for about 5 hours. I mean, it's like four hours, but we'll just say like a 5-hour review and what I think and my opinions on stuff. Things I've changed that I'm happy with, and maybe things I need to address. So we'll get started with lifting this bucket up. So you can see when this thing's all the way up, it's still tilted down. It's not really curled up. So when I was using this thing to move snow, I mostly just used the blade, which really worked pretty good. The blade's just not tall enough, so every time you get snow to push, you'd curl up and it would just fall over it and you drive over it. But it did work a lot better than a shovel, and for that I am extremely thankful. But then what I'd also do is I would push a bunch of snow into a pile, and I should have took video of this, but I just really wanted to get the snow cleaned up, and then I would use the big bucket to kind of use the back of the bucket to push it further in so I could pile it up higher. And it really did work really good. Everything honestly worked as it was supposed to. I'm glad I switched the hydraulic controls on it, because I think I would have been fighting it a lot if I didn't. So, but I just feel like this should curl up more. And if I flip this around and it's less, then I don't think I'm going to use this attachment. I just don't see the true benefit, because when I'm digging and I can't dig and get something up, and then I couldn't hardly pick snow up, because most of the snow would fall out by the time you got it lifted up. And if you wanted to reach out with it, if this is all the further it is, and then you extend this up, you're basically dumping your bucket. I mean, it's a freaking joke. I mean, and that's hopefully because I'm an idiot and did it wrong. So why don't we just get on that? Now, while I was using this, you know, everyone's like, these things are jerky. Well, they are. It was extremely violent at times. And sometimes I'm not sure if it's, you know, the bucket weight. I mean, you can barely pick that up with one hand. Pick that up fairly easy. So, do have a lot more weight. And like I've said in the past, if you get a name brand one of these units, the way they classify this stuff is on weight. So this has to be whatever, under 2,500 pounds, I think, to be a 1-ton mini. Well, when you don't use a diesel engine, that's a majority of your weight, and you don't, like the boom and the mast on a name brand's significantly thinner. So they're getting probably most of all their weight out of the front assembly. Well, they'd almost be better off being like the world's crappiest 2-ton, you know, because then you'd still have a small excavator, but if they added a counterweight or something in the back, because if you go to drop the boom down on this, it freaking sends you jerking. I mean, it is not a lot of fun. But I don't know. I think I'm going to look into maybe figuring out a good way to do some sort of concrete counterweight to put in the back, or find a spot where I can get some like plate steel or something and weld into it. Because I feel like that's it. I mean, excavators can be jerky. That's not that big of a deal, and they can toss you around. You're slinging a lot of weight out from a central point, and that's not that uncommon. But it was pretty bad. And also, I think the more you use something, the more confident you get on it, and that's when stuff starts to operate a lot smoother. So maybe it's that. And as I get more time in this thing, I'll be able to have a better opinion of it definitely needs something or it doesn't. And I just need to be a better operator to run this thing. But right now it's definitely in my mind of figuring out a way to add a little bit of weight to this thing. Here's the one pin. Just flipping it around. I know some people, I've heard them say you do lose a little bit of your curl, but if you lose that much of your curl, you might as well not have a curl. So. Alright. There's that. But honestly, everything worked really good. You know, these units, they are slow. And I will not lie to you. It is absurdly slow. But it works. Everything works. It works as it's supposed to. It turns well, and the blade, the functionality of the blade is good. It's fairly, I mean, I feel like it works like fairly accurate. It's not like you barely touch the lever and the whole thing just flops to the ground or anything. It's pretty simple to use, and I feel like most people wouldn't really have an issue using it. And it's not made for snow, you know, either, but I could see how using it in dirt, how it would be very valuable, and also just very handy, just for almost anything. Anytime you're thinking, oh, I need some sand leveled out or anything, you know, you can drive that around. It's a small unit, you can get it wherever. The other thing is, what else was there? I'm gonna have to put some sort of expanded metal, or maybe buy some of that like sea decking mat or whatever, and then put down on the floor, because the floor is freaking slick, especially when it's wet. The seat, you know, it could be more comfortable, but whatever. I mean, I'm not trying to live on that thing either, so. But I kind of would just park it with it turned, just to get so you could use the track. But I thought about maybe adding a step on like that piece that's going to slide out for the battery, and then that could almost be a handle to pull that thing out. Just weld it all to it. But you know, we didn't really use the lights or anything. The lights, they worked, but I turned them on just to make sure everything was fine. The fan obviously didn't kick on. Same thing. It's not really gonna kick on when it's 10 degrees out. It's probably not gonna get hot. So But I will say in 4 hours I was gonna drain the gas out. I didn't, but it used probably 2 or 3 tanks of gas. So I don't know. Probably used like 3 gallons, 4 gallons of gas. So almost a gallon an hour, maybe if it was full. I'm not sure how full it was, but a decent amount. I mean, and I don't know if I was really running it at full tilt or not. But all right, we'll pick this bucket up and see what we got. Sweet. That proves I'm an idiot. So if you're really listening to me, maybe you shouldn't be. But the quick attach definitely probably lose you a little bit, but I don't see a reason that you wouldn't want it. I mean, if once I get bolts for all my buckets, then all I have to do is, I mean, it's pretty easy to pick up, and then honestly, once I know everything's working good, you know, you could just take a impact or whatever and run this bolt up and down. The only thing I'll say is I'm gonna have to end up getting a greaser in here, because this is obviously a threaded bolt that runs that up and down, and it has a spot where there should be a greaser, but it looks like they either A, didn't drill and tap it, or B, didn't just didn't want to do it. So I think we're good with that, and I just wanted to show that worked. I'm trying to think if there's anything really else on this unit that I thought. I mean, I wore a hat and headphones most of the time. It is loud, but it's not that bad. I mean, if you operate machinery, if you drive a lawnmower, it's loud. Everything's loud, especially small engines. But everything seemed to work pretty well. You know, obviously, if I had this thing deep in the snow and I tried to push all of it, it didn't have power for it. It's not a big, giant machine. If you use any machine, you always know there's a limit, you know. Just because you got a 60-horse skid loader doesn't mean you can pick up a 5-ton boulder. I mean, it just doesn't work. So you have to use the machine for what it's made for, and it was worked really well. And it, like I said, I used it for probably 4 or 5 hours, and you know, no leaks or anything. I don't think. I mean, we can look, but you can even see like the floor. It's got a little salt or whatever on there. Maybe needs cleaned up a bit, but down here everything stayed. Can't really tell. I don't have a light, but everything stayed pretty dry. I know one guy commented and asked if I should have probably put that in a box, and the answer is I probably should have, but if you're washing this thing down, you're probably not gonna get in direct water spray in there, and if you do, I guess I'll just have to fix it later. But the engine, everything worked out pretty good. Like I said, I didn't think I had any leaks or anything. Everything's pretty dry, which is good. I mean, I never did fasten that battery down, so gonna have to address that, but I think I can just fasten it down with the original strap. But everything worked good. I think also I've seen where some people take like some sort of piece of steel and go across. That way it maybe will save that down there. I'm not really sure if that would really do anything, because if you slam something in the middle here, it's just gonna bend whatever you got into there. But that might still be something I try to do, but I don't know. I don't want to put anything any lower, because this thing doesn't sit high off the ground as it is, and don't really want to have to limit yourself too much. But this little muffler guard, I feel like, did pretty good, because I mean, this thing's hot. Like, you wouldn't really want to touch it, but that muffler guard saves a lot of the heat. But yeah, everything worked good. I mean, switching the controls around, I'd say, like, if you have any experience in this stuff, definitely do it, because you will be kicking yourself in the butt non-stop, because you'll be moving the wrong thing constantly. But other than that, I mean, I'm really happy with it. I mean, I can show you 4.1, so that's how many hours I have on it. It worked, and like I said, I did run the lights on the headlights on the front on it the entire time, and then obviously I had the hydraulic fan on, and the battery voltage never got really below, I think, 13.5, so it was charging itself and everything was working, which that's kind of what I'm interested in. I also would like to maybe just try to run everything, like turn the fan all the way down to have everything run, maybe plug my phone into it and see what the battery voltage sits at, because, you know, you don't want to have all this crap on there and then find out you can't use it. So that's what I got for today. I'm gonna try to maybe work on my greasable pins. I'm probably gonna try to work on them today, but I probably won't have that video out for a little bit. Takes a little bit with everything that's going on around the house, but that's what I got for now. And thanks guys for watching. I really do appreciate all the comments and everything, and I think this is turning into something, so we're gonna keep it going, and I'm gonna work on those greasable pins. I can show you that. Also probably get the greaser put in this unit here, and then I think the next thing will be is get the auger over here and get the auger mounted, and we'll get those holes drilled and everything else. So if you like the content, let me know. We're gonna slowly get this thing back together. Also, I'm thinking maybe repainting this unit, possibly, if I can't find the matching color or close to. So if you got any ideas on a good color scheme, leave them in the comments if you would. That'd be pretty cool, and maybe we can paint this unit. So alright, thanks, and we'll see you on the next one.